Good morning, Father James coming back at you with Coffee with the Callers, and I'm with
Father Doug.
Padre. It's our coffee break on Friday morning.
It is.
A well-deserved respite from our
Yes.
crafting
From
of
our labors,
homilies.
yes.
Yes.
The labors.
So this morning we're here to talk to you about the practicality of forgiveness. Something that, of course, we all know is a major part of our spiritual journey because each one of us commits sins and we have to apologize for those sins to God and to each other. So, Padre, when you think about, what are some of the practical sort of applications of forgiveness? What comes to your mind?
Yeah. Well, one thing I think that sometimes people get flummoxed when they know there's somebody they have to forgive. They know that Jesus says that we have to do that, and they want to do it, but they get perplexed, like, well, what does that mean exactly? What am I going to do? And especially, maybe I still feel terrible about this situation. So, what am I supposed to do? So I think one of the most practical things is to try to first see what's the essence of forgiveness. I think the essence of forgiveness is not in feeling better about the situation, not in forgetting about the situation, not even in rebuilding the relationship, which may happen eventually. But I think the essence of forgiveness is when you can say that you truly want what's good for the person who's wronged you, and I think we get that first. That's the practical first step. Make sure there's no hatred in my heart, and then the rest can kind of start to follow.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that. People often will come to me for some counseling, and there's just a really difficult calamity that they are trying to get over in a relationship, and they're trying to figure out, how could I ever forgive this person? And I always say to them, you know what? Forgiveness is a choice.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're going to forget what that person did or how you felt. You will always remember that. It's a wound. It's a scar that will be with us for life. But we can choose to forgive because we can choose the good. We can choose what is true, what is godly, and that is to be merciful because God is merciful. So I think that's really important for people to realize. I like what you said, Father Doug, about how you just feel bad. Whether you're the person who has been sinned against or you're the person who's committed the sin, you feel terrible about it. So I like that idea about honesty. Just tell the truth. And I feel terrible that happened. I'm so sorry, and I wish it wouldn't have happened. So I think that is a really important practical reality of situations like that.
Yeah. One of the steps I think practically we can take was say, I'm going to love my enemies. What's the first thing I can do then to express that? I think a first step really is to pray for our enemies, which Jesus also counseled, which means to pray for what's really good for them. And that doesn't mean that we've forgotten about a situation.
And it doesn't mean that we like them either.
No.
But we do love them.
But we want what's good for them, including maybe repentance and change of life and all of that. And so we can pray for them. That's an expression of love. And if for whatever reason we can't even take that step, one thing I like that St. Thomas Aquinas said, he said, well, if you can't yet get to the point where you pray directly for your enemies, which would be the best thing, at least make sure that you can pray for the whole world and that you're not excluding your enemies when you're doing that. And I think that can help us make sure we don't let hatred kind of fester.
Sure. So this is a wonderful opportunity, I think, to cultivate love in forgiveness. One of the things that I try to say is to people, imagine that today's your last day. If you knew that God was going to take you to himself tonight, there's always two questions that I ask them. Who would you go and say, I love you to? And who would you go up and say, I'm sorry to? I think this is a good way of living each and every day of our lives, imagining that it could be the last day of our lives, and there's bound to be someone out there that I need to say I'm sorry to. So maybe that would be a good project for each of us sometime this weekend to find someone. It could be someone really close to you, maybe a friend, or maybe someone who doesn't even live near you, and maybe it would be an email or a letter that you might write to say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry that happened between us, and I want you to know that I care. And I wish it wouldn't have happened, but I want you to know that I'm sorry that it happened. And I think that helps us all to live in peace rather than to live in the chaos of sin. So hopefully this has been some insight for you as you continue your journey. And I know it's good for Father Doug and I to be able to share these things with you because it helps us to be better priests. Padre, you know what else helps me to be a better priest? Is my weekly fix on date bread.
On date bread.
And this comes from the Upper Crust Bakery down on Burnett Road. This is my favorite baked item as of late.
It's pretty good bread.
Yeah, but the reason I like it is because I'm on the Mediterranean diet, and dates are part of the Mediterranean diet. So have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday.